you expect like people to show empathy and compassion and understand the circumstance we're in, but they're just screaming, shouting about you. And like there was just suddenly there was this one news anchor who was like literally saying like, something is wrong. What are you doing, Karan Johar? I'm like, but what has it got to do with me? This has gone wrong. That has gone wrong. What do you have to say, Karan Johar? And I'm like, excuse me?
If there is one man who has become synonymous with criticism, be it his films, his swanky clothes, his interviews, or generally anything surrounding his life, it is undoubtedly Karan Johar. A man who once reinvented what it took to be a mainstream Hindi film director has now unfortunately been reduced and ridiculed to become just another internet conversation. How is it that the same man who has made Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and My Name is Khan among many other great films is only in the headlines for all the outsiders he has presumably wronged, or how much his new handbag costs? Why is it that somebody so successful can still not get rid of the stench of negativity surrounding his films and his personal life? Karan Johar is no stranger to the limelight. In fact, he has been well tuned with the world of cinema and show business for well over 30 years. But with the decades shaping his filmography in different palettes, so has his personal life and the consumption of that. See, the late 1990s and the early 2000s for Hindi cinema was some of the most creatively interesting times, and I have a strange affection for the late 2000s because that was the time that I grew up watching Hindi cinema and being constantly overwhelmed by just how much power the art of storytelling and movie making held. And one of those films that always reminds me of that time is Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, a sweet rom-com with a love triangle that became a pop culture phenomenon. And behind that phenomenon was a man who was still unaware of his career and identity as a filmmaker. So, how did the conversation around this guy change from people rooting for him to the exact same people turning against him? Is there any truth to the million articles written about the man who was once dubbed as the movie mafia, or is it just a fabrication of someone's imagination gone a little too far? Well, the debate is far from over. So let's just get into the thick of things and really get to know how Karan Johar went from being a loved filmmaker to a despised and snooty villain all in a matter of a decade. But before we move forward, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribing to the channel for weekly content ahead. Let's begin. A couple of weeks ago, I came across this interview of Karan Johar where he sat down with Faye D'Souza to discuss his 3 decade long career and how he's evolving in the new generation. But interestingly, he opened up about how much has changed vis-a-vis how we as the audiences now approach celebrities differently and how we consume news and media today. All of which is true, and that's why it got me thinking about how restless we have become in today's time and age, where our attention span decide the news we consume, not the legitimacy or the honesty of the news or media itself. And that is no place more evident when it comes to celebrities and how we put them under this microscope, strangely analyzing and going over their every move. Why is it that today a tweet or a post is deciding how we should think of a certain person or what opinions we should hold about them? Have we actually lost all common sense to differentiate between what's right and what's wrong? Look, I'm of the firm belief that art should always be separated from the artist because artists at the end of the day are human beings and they screw up all the time. So maybe by separating the art from the artist, we hold the art for how it made us feel, not who made it and who was attached to it. Now back to Karan. See, nepotism is a word that has lost all its meaning and value, at least in my eyes. It was a word that first emerged as this big thing back in 2016 or 17 when an episode of Coffee with Karan aired, where the host Karan Johar was called out for being a snooty and arrogant man who favored those closest to him and had no place for people who he thought never belonged in the spotlight to begin with. The episode knowingly got a lot of media attention and started this debate in Bollywood that is still going on. But when I say that this debate has lost all its meaning, it's because the whole conversation just lost its relevance and meaning. And instead of being about people and helping people, it became about just one person and serving their ego. But have we actually lost all sense? But if we actually look closely, is there any truth to the whole thing? Is Karan Johar really a snooty and arrogant man? Is he really a movie mafia? Look, it's all about who tells the story, who gets to show the world what they went through. But how do we know who's telling the truth and who's not? Karan Johar is someone who enjoys a good amount of media coverage, and with this media coverage comes all kinds of criticisms and accusations. See, a lot goes behind the scenes in an industry like Bollywood, things general public has little to no idea about. Karan is a big name in the industry. He's someone who has produced something of over 50 films under his banner and directed some of the biggest blockbusters Indian cinema has ever seen. So why is it that an acclaimed director like him still can't get the respect he so badly desires? In his memoir, An Unsuitable Boy, Karan opens up about his own childhood and the ever-changing dynamics of the movie industry he's a part of. There's a sense of humor in the book, as well as the man himself looks in hindsight on his illustrious career and ponders over how much has changed since he started out. I guess in a way he's right, a lot has changed since he started out. Movies in general and also the ones he made used to be very different. A casual and frivolous talk show like Coffee with Karan used to be very different. The dynamics of the movie business also used to be very different. But isn't change a good thing? Well, that depends on how much we change. Unfortunately, as I pointed out earlier, we have changed but not in a progressive or in a positive way. We have changed to become more and more restless and more vulnerable and less willing to forgive others and also see them as human beings too. We have changed, but have we ever evolved? In today's time and age of constant online criticism and media outrage, people like Karan Johar have become more reserved. And when there is no room for people to be themselves and no room for them to change or to evolve, maybe the fact is true that some movies and some ideologies were meant for a different audience, maybe a different world. One where criticisms were still justifiable and the people were still tolerable. A time where neither the conversations were fictitious and neither were the actors. Look, I am all here for the change and I firmly believe that people change and evolve with time. But unfortunately, we live in a time where if a person does or say anything wrong, they are not given a chance. They are boycotted, never to be heard from again. But just like products, can we boycott or cancel human beings? Look, the world is changing. People like Karan Johar are not privy to this either, and the industry he works in is also constantly changing. Maybe there is some truth to the accusations thrown at the director many years ago. Maybe he has that kind of control over people and who they can get to work with, or maybe he never did. Maybe it is just a figment of somebody's imagination or just a personal opinion of another person. I can't change anybody's personal experience or opinion they hold for someone else, but at least as an audience I can point out to the fact that just simply cancelling and boycotting or trolling somebody incessantly doesn't get the job done. So maybe instead of bashing someone for a news or post printed against them, we should hold them accountable instead of tearing them apart because we believe like we own them. Hopefully we become a little less restless, and in this scenario of separating the art from the artist, we stick by the art we love and all the things it conveys to us, and we treat the artists as humans too, always holding them accountable for their actions but not tearing and annihilating their character like they're a piece of object we own. And that's it for the video, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments below, and also don't forget to smash the like button and subscribing to the channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.